Hello, welcome to another video segment on aesthetic leg lengthening. I would like to talk today about the basic concept of leg lengthening in a bit more detail. It's really important to understand that leg lengthening simply differs in certain parts or subfields, and that you also look at and understand these subfields separately. The basic idea is as follows. You guys have the surgery or the implant. The implant is there to first create the basic prerequisite so that you can lengthen. You are only lengthening the bone with the implant. That means the implant is supposed to stabilize the bone in 3 dimensions and ensure the precise lengthening speed. So that means if you now have on one side, you have the implant that is embedded in the bone. We have an initial length here, and this initial length of the bone is to be lengthened. That's the basic idea. But you not only have the implant and the bone, but the bone, if you look at it from a top view, here is the femur, for example, this is the thigh. You have quite a bit of soft tissue around it. A lot of muscles, tendons, and nerve vessels. All the structures also need to be lengthened in the end. It's not like you just cut the leg in one plane and then lengthen the bone and all the structures, and then somehow stitch it back together. But it's a dynamic process. That means we ensure with the device, that is, with the distraction nail, only the lengthening of the bone, the lengthening of all other structures. You have to do that. And this is during the entire lengthening phase. And that's almost more important on par with the lengthening of the bone. So if you now have your base size or your initial size, the length of the bone, then the muscular length is always a bit more. I always draw it a bit longer because you have a certain reserve flexibility. When you walk, move, stretch, you can actually go a bit further with the muscles. That means you have a bit of reserve there. Now they start to lengthen, and they lengthen daily, so to speak. A little bit on the bone until they are finally even with the muscular system. And then they start to lengthen beyond that. Every day a little bit of the bone. And now it's important that you lengthen the muscular tissue. The muscular structures and all other structures should be lengthened equally. And it's really important to understand that what happens if you don't do that? Then you basically only lengthen the bone and neglects the soft tissue structures. And then you have the following situations. You have to imagine, I'm just going to do this a bit schematically. This here is our hip joint. This is our knee joint. This is our ankle joint. And we have our muscles. And these muscles are basically always bridging over several joints. That is also the basic principle of a muscle. The muscle is there to move joints. That means you must not fall into the misconception that we have a bone here. We cut through the bone here. We use the distraction device there. And the muscle attaches on one side of the bone. And on the other side, from the bone and with the distraction, the muscle is automatically lengthened as well. That is a misconception. The muscle always has the function of moving joints, and therefore each muscle spans at least one joint. In this case, for example, the front thigh muscle actually spans 2 joints. That means the knee joint and the hip joint. Now let's consider the situation where we only lengthen the bone, but the muscle remains the same. Then we have the lengthened bone, so to speak. Here we have the hip joint. The muscle stays the same. What does the hip joint do? It moves forward. The pelvis tilts forward. Compensatorily, you go into a hollow back. This situation always occurs when you only lengthen the bone, but the muscular lengthening is completely neglected. Then you end up in a functional misalignment. So what does that mean to do? You also have to lengthen the muscle to be equal to that. With the bony lengthening, that means the muscle has to get longer all the way up here. in the muscular area. So then you have a chance. To successfully complete the entire lengthening phase or to get through the lengthening phase without significant functional limitations. That means with a minimal distraction mechanism from the bone, you also need to do your stretching exercises in the muscles throughout the day. That means clicking in the morning, then you are a bit more bony, you've built up some tension, you are a bit longer there. And you need to release this minimal tension through stretching exercises in the muscular area throughout the day. Otherwise, it won't work and you'll develop the classic misalignments. That means the pelvis comes forward. In the lateral appearance, it's also quite classic. When you hear here, so to speak, the hip joints, knee joint, ankle joint. You have a relatively tight band here that goes out to the side. If you now lengthen bony in this direction, then the legs spread apart here. Wide legs. Yes, quite classic. It's always the same, it's just this functional misalignment. Result of a discrepancy between the bony lengthening and the muscular lengthening. As soon as you stop, that is, as soon as the lengthening of the bone stops, you can of course work on it or address it again. Nevertheless, the better or more comfortable way is of course to pay attention to the lengthening process, so that you don't develop any functional limitations and correspondingly lengthen the muscles just as much. How to lay it out bony. Thank you very much for that.